Okay, hi everyone. My name is Tobias and I used to come from Acando. Now I'm getting used to saying CGI since Acando was acquired by CGI a few months ago. I'm here to talk about data and the competitive of data when you work with it in the right way and how you can deploy business strategies then on your data management. First of all, I need to have one corporate slide for you who don't know who CGI are. So if someone in Canada looks at this deck, they know that I've actually told you that it's a big consulting company. So I'll briefly start with digital leadership, and we will go then into decision making and strategies followed by that, and then we'll sort of tie everything together. I've also promised some friends of mine who are here that I'm going to talk about livestock and have an animal with me, so I'll bring that up as well. CGI has something called Voice of Our Customers, meaning that they every year ask over 1,400 of their largest clients, where are you heading? And they have a bunch of analysts who looks at all the answers. And we can see that both from a business priority and IT priority, everyone talks about modernization, the digital organization, and also the usage of analytics in a broader extent to sort of understand basically anything. Now, when you want to work with this, obviously you need to start with the data, because that's the fundament, and we know that, everyone who was here, so don't need to say that. But also the challenge today is about everything that's connected and how fast things are getting connected. And it's these things that generate the data that we then have to sort of somehow cater. And I think we've seen some very good examples of that from the previous speaker, from Nordea, how they sort of manage this data layer. And I looked in the other room on the retail side, how it's just growing and getting faster, but you need to have the scalability to handle the data, but you also need to understand the data. So it's a good thing to have data, but if you can't understand it or massage it, then it's no use really. So Acando, and now CGI, we have something called DMA, which is a yearly survey in Sweden where we call up 200 companies and ask them stuff about basically digital leadership and how they're working. Every second year we ask the private sector, and then every second year the public sector. So it's not every year we get an update, but bi-yearly we can see the trends and where people are heading. These are the 5 key areas that we talk about, and it's all about digital leadership. If you want to read the full assessment, it's available online, so I'm going to skip you to the end to give you the summary. But what we're saying basically is that only 20% of companies in Sweden today are what we call digital leaders. And then you have a whole range of from straggler up to followers. So the digital leaders, they stand out in these ways. They all have a guiding digital strategy from top management. They work with it in parallel with their business strategy, so they don't combine it. They have a separate digital strategy that they work with actively. Also, they work with customer insights and customer understanding extremely much, and they let the data talk to them. And they work with innovation. And another thing is that they actually allow people to fail, and that's the culture they build. So these things you need to have in place to be a digital leader. So skipping to the end, focusing then on the data side, obviously. What we can see is that working with customer journeys, which is very big in retail, but basically understand your customers' needs and where they're at, the digital leaders does it to a huge extent. Also that they adopt the meeting based on the data. So they know who is here, is it the first time, what do they want, and everything like that. And then the digital meeting is massaged in that way. So the customer feels that personalization. Now, these 2 things is really about then being in control of your data. And this is what the data strategy is actually about. So I need to understand my customer behavior. So when I work with data, I need to understand my business behavior. So if we do a bit of show of hands, who here would say that you're working in or with IT? Okay. And who here would say that you're part of the business? And then we probably have a few that says, I'm both. Yeah. Hopefully no one says I'm neither. And also I see we have some of our suppliers and vendors like Sibo here, providing the platforms, which then helps us when we work with IT and business. But a majority here said that you're in IT, which actually makes this very useful and to bring with you. Also, a digital leader adopts change more easily, and they succeed with it. And they have the top management driving this. So this is something we actually see both in the private and in the public sector. These figures I've shown you are from the private sector in 2017. So we're actually conducting the 2019 survey right now. Okay, I'm going to bring you with 2 customer cases that shows where data has helped in decision making and where the strategy actually helped them. So we had a huge machine learning initiative from one of our clients who have a web shop, and it's about fresh food. And they have date stamps on this food, obviously, and they need to know who is buying what. So if I have something that's going to expire soon, I can push that to these clients. So when they join the website, if you're part of the group buying that type of food, you're going to see it first to increase sales. And it's actually been very successful. So they've been able to reduce waste in this way. Another customer is Södra Älvsborgs Sjukhus. So they work a lot with different clinical things. And we have a team of data scientists helping them. And one of the first things we did was on pneumonia. So pneumonia patients are very frail. And they realize that some actually become more ill than others. But they have the same disease. So why? And the study showed, okay, based on which medication you're on, you have a higher risk to be more ill. Or if we move you between clinics, you'll become more ill. So they took the data and they started to make decisions to make sure that these things are avoided. And they let the data run their decisions. So facts. Now, having a data-driven culture is not easy to do. It's easy to say that we want to work with the data, but how do you know which data is the important one? And then you actually have to start from the end here. You have to start with the goal. What do we want to achieve? And then you go backwards. Which decisions do we want to make? What insights do I need to have? And then do I have the data for those decisions? It's very common you actually start from the data and you say, hey, here's the data, go and do decisions. But first I need to understand your goals. I need to understand the target. Again, I think in the end on the questions from Nordea was extremely good. We need to understand the business and how to support them because we're just technology. And it's the same here. It's just data, but I need to know where do I have the right data and how do I make these connection points? So when you work with data management, this is something that you really need to think of. Who is my customer and what data do they need? Obviously, it's not just data management you need to have, but you sort of need to see that there's a big area. And when I face a client, and we're going to talk mostly data management, I can see how they sort of just feel this heavy weight. Yes, this swamp that I'm heading into, and I'm going to be walking in this swamp for 2 years, and I will have accomplished nothing. How do I sort of get speed and traction in this work? And it's all about breaking the pieces down, obviously, and get some satisfaction and celebrate what you're doing, even the small things. But you need to understand the complexity, and you need to see that I need to work with data governance quite a lot on multiple levels, but I also need to understand the toolkit and understand the data. Now, not one person can do this, but this is the big picture, so you need to get friends. And all of you need then to ally around the same thing. The business needs to come first, and we need to agree on what do the business want. And we can't have different views on what the business wants, because then we're going to be pulled in different directions. And from a strategy perspective, there are really only two types of strategies as I see it when I boil it down. And it's a data-driven strategy, or you have a business-driven strategy. Early this morning, we heard about IT can't deliver due to the processes. And I mean, that's very true. If you have data-driven data management, what you'll be seeing is data for data's purpose. When you go to an organization, you ask them, who owns the data? People say, well, maybe the CIO or the system owner. That's where the data resides. When I talk about how do you want to manage your data, the system owner will say, well, we have an instruction for that. Okay, but who in the business uses it? Oh, I don't know, I just have the instruction. Now, this is very traditional, and extremely many are still here, that we think IT owns data. The only contradiction I have against with our British friend is that for me data has no context, because I need data part of business process to become information. But I see the point he's carrying with all the connections, and that also gives another context. But I need to understand the data and how it's used in order to know who owns it, who uses it, and then I can actually start working business-driven instead. Business-driven data management, that's not when you say, okay, how do we want to enhance our master data management process? And we say, yeah, we're going to get some new tools, or we're going to automate the flow. Yeah, but what flow? Why? What is the critical 5 things on top of our CEO's mind right now? Board of directors. What are they working on? What are the business pains we're having? How can I, with my master data team, go today and say, I'll help you. I have no clue yet what you want to achieve. I'll learn and I'll help you with data, because that's actually going to solve your problem, I promise. And then you have to be extremely flexible, because the business, it will shift. And we that work with data, we really don't like to be too flexible. We like rules and look at structures and not run around after the business all the time. But when you do that, they actually start to see the purpose why we have data management. They see the benefit of having a team that can go in and basically make magic out of any system. Now, the data-driven data management side of things, they will look more on the compliance side. You'll have security there in their own castle with moats and crocodiles and impenetrable, and you go to them and say, hey, help us, and they say, no, our framework says this is the rule. So compliance is good, and they're there for a purpose. Obviously, I think they also need sometimes to be business-driven, but in the end of things, when you have the data, it's more around how they work the system. Not IT-driven. So the question was if I mean IT-driven, and I mean data-driven, because you can actually sit in the business, and you can still see data for data's purpose, that you're doing a master data process to enhance the data flow. Or now I will be able to run this process double as fast. Now I can enrich 10 systems instead of 1 at the same time. But we don't know if it's the right system and if it's the right data that you're actually working on. You increase your own capacity within data management, but are you sort of looking in the right area? That's what I'm meaning. So when you work business-driven, you know the business targets, and you will go and change your master data strategy to follow the business strategy and IT strategy, obviously. But you will be more flexible. Here's the livestock. In many places, we like to sort of make decision based on our gut feeling. Companies today, I mean, they don't have one stomach. We sort of act like a whole farm of cows. And what will your gut tell you if you're a cow? I'm hungry, yes, but I'm also eating at the same time. So I can't really make a decision on that. So what I'm saying here is we need to base our facts on data, or our decisions on data and facts. And the business need to do that, and then if we then work with master data, we obviously need to learn from that and also base our decisions on the same thing. On the same data, preferably as well. And we need to understand what are the targets, which data is affecting this, how can I drive this data forward, and how can I be a step ahead? Because obviously, when we work with data, we can see trends faster than the business can see it. So when they come and say, we have a pain here, we say, yes, we know. We have some ideas, but we need to discuss this. And I need to hear which way we should go, because I need to more understanding in your needs. If they need like more data or faster data, or are we missing data? What happens if I toss in weather data on top of predictive maintenance? Well, all of a sudden, I actually know when snow is coming, so I can wait to do some maintenance that needs to be done before snow, if snow is going to come late. I don't need to say it happens first week of October every year. Then I help the business. So going back to a digital leader, and actually why you want to be a digital leader. So the facts show that the digital leader actually succeeds more in initiatives they embark on. So when they want to develop a new product, they succeed in developing the right product, not just a digital twin or something, but the right product. They actually succeed go to market much higher. So the consumers want these products and they earn more money. If we take these facts and then we deploy it on ourselves within data management, so if I understand my customer, the business, I will be able to produce better services that they will actually like and they will use because I produce the correct services to them. Maybe I won't earn money, but I'll help the company earn money. And you for sure cut costs as well. That comes with the territory. So I think if we look at how do businesses succeed and we see our profession within the data management area as a profession internally, we can actually do a lot of good things for our companies. I can't stand on stage without showing something from Ralph Kimball. He's one of the original founders of data warehousing. And it really goes back to this thing when you say data-driven or IT-driven. Here it's a data warehouse question. Because it's very easy for IT to say, yeah, we can build you a data warehouse, and they take some hammer and nails and just set up a warehouse, but they haven't asked the purpose of the warehouse. So what type of services are you running? Which type of goods will we run here? How much size do you need? So, thank you.